Yeah. Well, let's go on to our big questions. Ethan, why don't you start us off with yours?
Yeah, so my big thing is about Gibbs. I feel like this is something a lot of people want to know, but like when do you guys think Gibbs is gonna finally be utilized? Because everyone is saying the same thing, and I think everyone sees the same thing, which is that he is the best player on that field other than Sun God. And it's like, why isn't this guy being used?
Ooh, that is that's a tough
It's a
question to
hard
be honest.
question. Yeah, that's a
Because
Because
hard
Swift
question.
Swift you could justify it because he was always injured,
yeah,
right?
there was injury concerns. But then you go like this is the same thing all over again.
And character, apparently, character
Yeah,
concerns about Swift too.
which
Yeah.
we noticed that in the Hard Knocks season with the lines. It was just like, oh, something's a little off there as far as what's being shown.
Right.
But
Well, and yeah, and we didn't, I don't think I saw Swift in the Hard Knocks episodes. Like,
It
I
was
think he
very
he
brief.
was briefly
It
there,
was very
yeah,
brief.
and that's
very
it.
briefly. So I just want to go through. I'm going to pull up your team real quick, and I'm just going to kind of go through. Um, Gibbs is just at least snap percentage. He's been at 27, 48. Highest was even 60, and then back down to 37. So as far as Gibbs will be utilized, I really think the answer is going to be whenever they are in a close game because Kansas City was close, but they've already said they had a snap count limit for him for that game because it was week 1. Week 3, Monty wasn't there, but he only could muster 60% of the snaps. Seattle was close, but Monty was still there, so he only got it was a 50-50 split. Green Bay wasn't close, so it drops to 37%. We talked about this last week, but I think the issue he might be matchup based for the moment. And I'm
Yeah. Well,
very
because
concerned about that.
if you think back to Atlanta, he did well, but he didn't get a ton of points just because Atlanta's defense is that good. But I mean,
But
I think if it was up against anybody else, he goes off if he's the guy.
I
And
mean, if
I
there is
think
a
what it comes
breakout
down
game, it's this week. And if
yeah.
I really think the issue is just snap percentage.
Here's what I think it's going to come down to. I think what it comes down to is letting Monty do what Monty does, but best, which is get hurt, and then the right matchup where it's not a top five defense like what Atlanta is.
I mean, your Chargers week 10 like honestly,
Yeah,
look
I
look
think
at this.
closer to the bye week.
So, well, past the bye week, I'll just give you 3 weeks past the bye week. It is the Chargers, it is the Bears, and it is the Packers, all back to back to back.
Yeah, so those are three good opportunities.
We have now replaced Ritter Watch with Gibbs Watch, and I just realized that, which is
Yep.
kind of hilarious. But
I'm all about it.
yeah, and so are we? It's the Gibby glance.
Yep,
Um,
we're Clan
so
Gibby.
so I mean, I think you just gotta throw your hopes and prayers in that it changes during the bye week because here's where the issue I see comes in. Jameson Williams got his suspension cut by 2 games, so he's back on the field. He's not going to get starting reps, but he is another dynamic piece. Ironically, also drafted 12th, and um, then they still have Josh Reynolds. Sam Laporta has done incredible, pretty honestly, as far as to start his career. And
Yeah.
then you still have Goff and Sun God Amon-Ra St. Brown is still the number one option. So the issue that I'm dealing with is I'm scared that he's not gonna show up, and either the Lions are just gonna cruise through games or they're not gonna trust him in these close game situations. I think the moment you can start believing in Gibbs is when his snap percentage starts hitting 70%.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that. My theory on all of this is they're running the wheels off of Monty. They're absolutely
They will
running the
fall
wheels
off
off of him, and and yes, I think they are saving Gibbs for the back end of the
for
season
marriage. They're
when
saving
when
him
they're
for marriage.
making when they're making a playoff run, they're going to pull their secret weapon out, their first round pick. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm thinking that might be it. That might be why they brought in Montgomery, is just to, you know, run him out the first part of the season. And if he gets injured, he gets injured. They're gonna utilize him. And then near the end of the season, they'll start working Gibbs in more and more, to make a playoff run and keeping their running backs fresh,
Yeah,
or at
here's
least their
final
rookie.
my final thought on it before we move on. But I really think the one thing that he's missing too to get up to that like 70% snap count is just making a friggin' play. Like he's been electric, but he hasn't made a play like, like Bijan like juking out 3 Green Bay defenders, or like Puka having a 15 reception game, or CJ being third on the list for all time passing yards. Like he just hasn't had a whoa, this dude's for real type thing. And I think if he has a moment like that, that's where you're going to
He'll
see a snap.
switch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think he also needs to get in the end zone. He
That's
hasn't
the
he
other
hasn't got
thing.
a single touchdown all year. I think what's going to make
Yeah,
a
but Ben
difference is when he
Johnson's
starts
like,
scoring.
I don't care if Monty runs it 50 times, he's going to score. It's like, Ben,
Yeah,
can
but
you
see,
not?
yeah, but
Can you
see,
not, Ben?
Gibbs got all the way down to what, the 1 or 2 yard line, like last
And they
game.
gave it to
He
Monty.
almost got there, and then they gave the ball back to Monty,
Well, and that's
and
why
it
I'm
was
saying
what,
he needs to make a
yeah,
play. He needs to
he needs to
score that
make a play,
touchdown for
Yeah.
them to
exactly.
be like, oh, okay, hold up.
I will say,
So
in Gibbs' defense of the talent, the fact that he is the running back 26 without a single touchdown is impressive.
yeah,
Well,
It's
that's what I'm
not like
saying. He's so electric.
it's not
well,
like a
because they're
Kyle
using
Pitts
him in the
situation
passing
where he's
situation.
actively
Yeah.
tanking your team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's not helping, but he's not tanking you.
It's just
He's active, and he's a deep flex consideration until he gets more reps, because he's in the passing game.
Yeah,
They
he
use
is.
him. They
Yeah.
just don't use him as much as Monty. And Monty is like, they're running the wheels off him.
No, they're running
I'm
a
I'm
train.
surprised. I'm
I'm ready.
surprised at how many times they've just handed him the ball and say, go up the middle. Just get him.
I will tell you that it scares me as far as I think you're right. It could be another Monty injury to where they're like, okay, we have to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, go make a play, dude. Like, this is your chance. I think he
Yeah.
really wasted that Atlanta opportunity. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it was probably also a playbook thing where he wasn't as comfortable. And with that, I'm ready.
I mean, I would agree
Yeah.
with that sentiment because of 17 carries. And he
Yeah.
only had 2 targets that game. So I can totally see it to where, okay, he doesn't have the full workload yet. He's getting there.
Yeah.
I could very well
Even
see it.
17 for 80 was nasty, and he looked good.
Look, it would be a lot better if he had a
Mhm.
touchdown. Like that's really the issue.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
if
a
you
lot
have
better.
17, 80 and a touchdown, that's a completely different story.
And I
Yeah.
will tell you, here's the other thing that just something to consider. He originally transferred from Georgia Tech, which they were in their transition going from triple option to spread, then transfers to Bama for 1 year. So he really, as far as like pro verbiage and like pro style terminology and assignments, this is really his second year doing it. And even then, last year they had to use him as a receiver more because literally, I mean, we were talking about during our draft live stream that Bryce Young almost had nobody to throw to, and his only
Yeah.
option was Gibbs. So I do wonder if we all kind of saw the potential in the explosive playmaking, went for it, and then realized, oh, a lot of the tinier nuances of the running back positions, someone who like Brian Robinson had. Like he had all those nuances that got him on the field earlier, and maybe we're just watching the learning curve with Gibbs.
Yeah.